Pete Hegseth's mother goes on Fox News to defend him about an email that she sent him when she was angry with him during a divorce. It's just so ridiculous. You know, Democrats, they just make me sick. It's just sickening. Okay, let's say hypothetically that the man was sleeping around. Let's just say hypothetically it was true. Does that somehow impact his way that he could do his job as the Secretary of Defense? No. So they'll just try to dig up anything, create some type of controversy that doesn't exist, a smear campaign. As soon as Pete Hegseth, Matt Gaetz got nominated, all these sexual assault allegations just come flying out. These two men have been in the public eye for the last, God only knows how long, how many years, and you never hear a word about any of that till Donald Trump appoints them. Go figure. Let's jump into the video.
Former Fox and Friends weekend co-host Pete Hegseth has been at the center of an intense media scrutiny ever since being named Donald Trump's nominee for Secretary of Defense. Pete has faced several accusations, including abuse, sexual assault, and more. There was also a leaked email from Pete's mom from 2018 that was published in the New York Times, and in it, she was critical of his past relationships with women. Pete's mother, Penelope Hegseth, joins us live on the set to tell us what she wanted to tell us. You called us yesterday and you said you wanted to come on.
I did. I said I would do anything for my son.
I completely get this. You never in a million years thought you would be doing this.
No.
Because you didn't realize that this email you wrote in 2018, somebody leaked it to the New York Times.
Correct.
And they printed it.
Correct.
I'm going to read part of it. You say, this is to Pete. During the 2018 divorce. You say, I have no respect for any man that belittles, lies, cheats, and sleeps around. And you go on and say, you are that man and have been for years. And as your mother, it pains me and embarrasses me to say that, but it is a sad, sad.
Okay, let's say the accusation was 1,000% true. He didn't sexually assault anybody. He's sleeping around as a young man. What would that have to do with him doing his job as the Secretary of Defense? What would that have to do with his service, commitment, and love for America? Nothing. It has nothing to do with his ability to do this job. It's just typical Democrat garbage as Hunter Biden sits in the White House, sex traffics minors, sells the country out to China. No big deal. Democrats don't see anything. Oh, we'll all put the blinders on. The View, you name it, every liberal on the planet. Oh, we don't know Hunter Biden's a pedophile. No big deal. But we'll talk about Pete Hegseth, who might have slept around with a few women when he was in the military. Has nothing to do with his job or his ability to do his job. Nothing.
The truth. You say, we still love you, but we are broken by your behavior and your lack of character. Mm-hmm. When you wrote that, what's the backstory? What was going on that made you so angry you wanted to write that?
Well, I will tell that story in a moment, but let me make two statements first, and one is to President Trump. And I want to say thank you for your belief in my son. We all believe in him. We really believe that he is not that man he was 7 years ago. I'm not that mother. And I hope people will hear that story today and the truth of that story. So the other thing I want to say is I am here to tell the truth to the American people and tell the truth to the senators on the Hill, right, especially our female senators. I really hope that you will not listen to the media and that you will listen to Pete.
Well, and you're here to tell us, because you are in the news now. So why did you write that email in 2018?
Right. Well, what was going on? Right. Let's go back 7 years.
So let's just say we had a female senator that had a problem with Pete. My question to her would be, do you have a problem with a gender reassignment surgery for 5-year-olds? Do you have a problem with Hunter Biden sleeping with his dead brother's wife? Joe Biden, his daughter wrote in her diary that Joe took showers with her up until the age of 21 years old, and she didn't like to go to his friend's house because she felt Joe and the friend were sexualizing her. Do you have a problem with that? No. We got a young guy who was in the military that was sleeping around a bit. If that's even true, let's just say it's true. Oh, I can't work with Pete Hegseth. He was sleeping around. He was chasing women. Oh my God. I mean, I don't think there'd be a man left on the planet if we're going to start gauging in who we're going to work with based on if they chased girls around. I mean, if you're a real man anyway, I don't mean you have to be a real man to sleep. I'm not saying that a real man sleeps with multiple women. I'm saying it's a natural instinct for a man that's attracted to females to want to sleep with females. It's normal. It's normal behavior.
Which, if we all went back 7 years, we would see that maybe we were not the people we are today. But they were going through, Pete and his wife at the time were going through a very difficult divorce. It was a very emotional time, and I'm sure many of you across the country understand how difficult divorce is on a family. There's emotions. We say things, and I wrote that in haste. I wrote that with deep emotions. I wrote that as a parent, and about 2 hours later, I should. My husband tells me I should think through things a little bit more, but
you know what's sickening about all this? It's Democrats and their false sense of morality. They think they have a right to preach to everybody else about their behavior. Hey, take a long look in the mirror, Democrats. The View, Whoopi Goldberg. Take a long look in the mirror at what you really stand for. Democrats always preach from this high moral ground, it's just absolutely disgusting because the good majority of them in the media, I'm saying in the media and in politics, are so vile and godless. It's disgusting.
But Pete and I are both very passionate people. I wrote that out of love. And about 2 hours later, I retracted it with an apology email, but nobody's seen that.
Of course not.
So it was a difficult time. I want to say something about the media. And part of today is to discredit the media and how they operate. When they contact you, I let a few phone calls go, but then they call you and say they threaten you. That's the first thing they do. Right. They say, unless you make a statement, we will publish it as is. And I think that's a despicable way to treat it.
No. What you're forgetting to add is that those are liberal news stations trying to shake you down. It's called fake news. That's what they do. That's why the ratings are in the toilet.
Threats are dangerous, and they're hard on families.
So to recap, you were angry about what was going on, his behavior during the divorce.
Right.
And so you wrote that email. And then, a couple hours later, you apologized. Mm-hmm. And you guys talked and you worked it out?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Pete and I are very close today. In fact, our whole family is very tight-knit. But I think that we as parents, we always parent.
No, I get it.
I mean, and that was 7 years ago. I want to talk in a minute about who Pete is today.
Right. There are, and you wanted to come on to talk a little bit, and you mentioned a moment ago, the media scrutiny. There are allegations of sexual assault, excessive alcohol use, infidelity, financial mismanagement. As a parent, that's really hard to hear.
Right. Well, our job as parents are to correct. They are to speak truth. And I am a passionate person like Pete, and sometimes emotional words come out. I don't believe any of that is true, any of it. And I'm here. I wouldn't be sitting in this chair today if I didn't believe that about my son.
Right. How's the family holding up?
Oh, we're okay. We have a deep, deep faith. Not only in each other, but in God. And our friends have been amazing. The support we've been receiving has been amazing. So we're trusting in our God and in our faith and in our family.
What do you say to people who have read the stuff about Pete or heard the stuff about Pete? You're here, you said he has changed.
Oh,
Hold on. Pete Hegseth, he's been on Fox News for years. None of this comes out. But as soon as Donald Trump appoints him, what will Democrats do? Oh, he sexually assaulted somebody. Oh, it's always, this is their go-to. This is their playbook. They're disgusting. You know, believe every woman until Bill Clinton, Joe Biden, Hunter Biden are sexually assaulting them or human trafficking them for sex, or better yet, Bill Clinton on the Epstein flight logs going to visit Epstein Island. No, we don't see. No Democrat ever sees that, though. Of course not.
absolutely.
How do you convince people of that?
Okay, well, I start with 4 things. First, I have a very intelligent son. I have a leader son. I've known that since he was 2. He went to Princeton and Harvard. By the way, he returned the Harvard diploma, but I wouldn't let him return the Princeton because I worked too hard. For that one, that one's going to stay. That's on his wall. He's written 2 New York Times bestsellers. What mother can say that? And one of them is about war and defense. So he already has a playbook. So you talk about experience. He's also put his life on the line twice overseas for our country.
Hold on. Trump picks Pete Hegseth, a warrior in war, fought in the military, been through war. Who would Joe Biden appoint? Let me see. Got to find a man in a dress with fake boobs and wears 9-inch heels and likes to parade around in a military uniform and thinks he's a woman. That's who Joe Biden would appoint. But Pete Hegseth, nope. There's not a Democrat in the world that wants him in the position. But God, it's just sickening. Look at who Joe Biden instilled, put as the faces of the military, all men in dresses. If Joe Biden or Kamala Harris got in, that's who they would pick. They would pick. You know what? I don't know why I even forgot to. I always forget Kamala even ran because you've seen her once in 6 months running to actually be the president of the United States. So you have to excuse me. But if Kamala won, that's who she'd pick. A man in a dress with 9-inch heels. But no, we can't have Pete Hegseth, a military warrior.
One in Iraq and one in Afghanistan. I'm a very proud Blue Star mom. There it is right there. And he's still a warrior. And that's why he's still fighting. That's why we're all still fighting, because we believe in the good.
And usually with confirmation hearings and the process, you just hear from the nominee, they go and they visit everybody. You were dragged into this story because the New York Times wrote that, they reported on that email that you sent back in 2018. But, for the most part, and what I've heard you say this morning is you wanted to come on because that was not the whole story. No. And I want people to look at Pete, judge people, or understand him for who he is today, and to disregard the media. That was 7 years ago. And most of it is misinformation.
I know everybody wants their kids to be perfect, but your kids are human and they make mistakes. He didn't sexually assault anybody. He wasn't convicted of sexual assault. They investigated it. It was unfounded. So what did Pete Hegseth actually do? Or what did his mother think that he did? Slept with multiple women? Okay. If that's the only thing, even if it was true, I think she's being way too hard on him. And obviously the media wants to destroy him for this, but it's a complete joke. So.
And the way they threaten you, I think, is very hurtful. And the person who leaked it, I don't know who that is, and I don't think I will need to. But Pete is a new person. He's redeemed, forgiven, changed. I think we all are after 7 years. I believe he's the man for the job. I think being a TV news host, prepares you for most things in a position like this. You're a good communicator. You have to think on your feet. You take charge. So I think everybody should do a year with Fox.
There you go.
Yeah, I'd love to.
It's got to be tough.
You know, Penelope, that's a good idea because a lot of Fox News, they can't figure out how corrupt Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, Democrats are, like this pardon thing. Oh, a lot of the Fox News people they just can't believe it. If you can't believe that corrupt Joe Biden, who doesn't have an honest bone in his body, would pardon his own drug addict, corrupt son, who was the bagman for their operation, there's something wrong with you, and you don't deserve a job on Fox News.
As his mother, to hear the drip, 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 because every day more stuff comes out. It's like you probably hate to turn on your phone because it's like, hey, it's my cousin telling me the latest news about
Yeah.
Pete.
Some cereal on my shirt.
Pete. And the people who know us know Pete. And Trump knows Pete. And he knows the Pete of today. And he knows the Pete who is a good father, a good husband to Jen. He's got 7 kids. He's a wonderful son, and a wonderful son to his brothers and all his friends.
So prior to being married with 7 children, he has 7 children, he's married. And prior to that, as a young man, a military guy, a hero, a warrior, he was sleeping around. You know, his testosterone was probably 20,000 because of all the war that he's been through. He was bedding multiple women. That's the accusations. So because of this accusation, somehow, some way, Democrats and their media think that he can't be defense secretary as a pedophile sits in the White House. Give me a break.
He's a changed man, and I just hope people will get to know who Pete is today, especially our dear female senators, that you would listen to him, listen with your heart to the truth of Pete.
And what I heard you say just a moment ago, Penny, was he's a changed man.
He is.
So the man you wrote to in 2018, who you were really mad at,
As a mom.
he is different than that man.
Absolutely. I believe that with all my heart. And I wouldn't be sitting here if I didn't believe he's the man for the job.
What do you, as you look at what is going on in Washington, D.C.,
Correct.
This is the way it works. You know, there are people who want Pete to get the job. There are people who don't want Pete to get the job. As a mother, that's got to be tough. Well, they don't like my son.
No, Democrats want men in heels or radicals that are communists and hate the country and think that we shouldn't have a border and think that, you know, China and North Korea should be able to buy up all the farmland in America and we should apologize for American exceptionalism and just hand the country over to a bunch of communists. That would be Democrats' picks for defense secretary.
Then you add on these allegations and it's like, okay, it becomes a little more complicated.
You know, Pete and
It becomes much more complicated.
Right. Pete and I are both warriors. And I've developed a really tough skin over the years. First raising Pete and then going through war, saying goodbye to his son to war. What mom needs to do that. And then his accomplishments and his qualities as a leader. He is strong.
Yeah.
He is capable. And I think his experience, I think the people that Trump has picked are not the ones you would expect. And I love that.
Yeah. Given the fact that you have suddenly become part of the story because of the 2018.
Oh, you mean because Trump picked real Americans that love the country and served the country, not a bunch of swamp creatures that say the right things and then behind the scenes sell the country out for their own profit, like Joe Biden, like Kamala Harris. Basically, the majority of the Democratic crime machine, that's what they do. And don't think that I don't know that there's any Republicans like that because there's plenty of them in the party also. But guess what? In Trump's cabinet, there's no Republicans like that, and that's the way it should be.
Email you sent Pete. As a parent, do you feel a little guilty? Man, I wish I hadn't written that because now I have made a mess.
Well, don't you think everyone has regrets as a parent? It's not an easy job, and we've all made mistakes.
Right.
We've all. And I would challenge anyone who thinks they're qualified to throw the first stone.
There you go.
Does it upset you that it has brought so much scrutiny to your family?
Well, that's hard.
Kind of stole my fire right there. Don't throw stones if you live in a glass house. As Democrats, there's so many people in the Democratic Party in government that are pedophiles that have been to Epstein Island. But no big deal. According to Democrats, they don't see anything.
Hard. I mean, yes, that is hard.
Because there are people looking, throughout his entire history and whatever that means.
Yeah, but we've been through a lot as a family. And our faith has assured us that greater is he that is in us than he that is in the world. And no matter what the results, we know that God is for us. Our friends are for us. Thank you, friends. You know who you are out there, Fox and Friends too, but our dear friends who've been supporting us through prayer.
Right. And you did mention Donald Trump. You thanked him in the beginning when you made your comments. Has Pete heard from Mr. Trump?
Oh, yeah. They talk often.
And what's going on between the two
Well,
of them?
the other
that you can
night I
talk
heard
about?
that everything was good. So I'm not in that world directly, but I think Trump is a good man, and I think he's picked some good nominees,
Right.
and I think the senators need to listen.
Do you worry, Penny, though, that Donald Trump's trying to hit the ground running?
Of course.
In less than 50 days, and the Pete Hegseth stuff has become a distraction.
Oh, stop, please.
To a degree.
Give me a break.
But I think it can be overcome. I think people need to listen to him, get to know him, not the Pete from 7 years ago.
What distraction? Trump doesn't care. Like, no person with a brain cares about all this emotional false accusations. Like, how is it a distraction? Stupid question. Stupid. I think it's ridiculous that his mom even had to come on here to set the record straight.
But the Pete of today.
Right. During the confirmation hearings coming up, if Pete continues with this nomination process, you might be called. Would you testify in front of Congress?
I don't have an answer to that right now, Steve. I hadn't thought about that.
What about the other people involved in the other allegations? They too will probably be called to tell their story, because you wanted to come on to tell
I did.
to tell your side of the story,
Yes.
which you have. They will probably get that same opportunity.
Yeah. Well, that's up to them. I only have so much control.
Yeah.
But I want to make two final statements. I want to thank Fox News, for all of you at Fox, from makeup to.
Can you imagine if every person in America had to go to their. You imagine every person in America that had a false accusation lodged against them at work had to have their mom go to their job to get them out of trouble. This is what Democrats resort to. They create such a distraction, as they say, for a false accusation that the Pete Hegseth's mom has to go on Fox News to straighten it out. The only distraction is Democrats and their nonsense. This shouldn't even be a story. But of course it is. Of course. Because this is Democrats' go-to playbook, where when they don't like a conservative or a Republican, oh, he sexually assaulted somebody. Meanwhile, you got Bill Clinton. He's been to Epstein Island multiple times. Joe Biden, his daughter, what she wrote about him in her diary. Hunter Biden, the sex trafficker. We all know what was on the computer. Every person on the planet knows what was on that computer, but they just pretend they didn't see it or know about it. Go figure.
To cameramen, to producers, to the other hosts, and how you've grown him as a leader. Because I think everybody should do a year on Fox. You learn to be a communicator. You learn to be take charge.
Penny, what's something, he worked here until just like a week ago.
I know.
We all know him. As his mother, what's one thing about Pete people don't realize?
That he's got a big heart, that he's very smart.
Yeah.
He's the most he is the most faithful patriot of this country. He loves his country, loves his country. He's fought and almost died for his country. He's a good dad. He's an amazing son and father.
The guy fought and almost died for the country, but Democrats think he can't do the job because he's not in a dress or heels or some radical that hates the country.
And that's the Pete I want people to know. Yeah. And then I want to say one more thing. I said I believe he's the man for the job, but more than that, I believe he's the man for such a time as this.
At this time, you're on TV explaining your son and his character.
Yes.
Because somebody gave the New York Times that
they
email.
Did.
How many people got your email? Was it just to Pete?
You know, I haven't been able to track that like my blind copy or my copy. I don't think that's important right now. I think what's very important is that the truth be told about that email and that we look at Pete today, not then. Mm-hmm. And I'm here.
You say it's important that people know the truth. Is there some part of that story that has been depicted in the media that is not true?
Oh, of course.
Which part?
You know, he's I don't want to use the words, but he doesn't misuse women. No. I mean, he's been through some difficult things. I'm not going to list them by name, but I would just say that some of those attachments or descriptions are just not true, especially anymore.
It sounds like you're a little disillusioned. Have you?
That guy is married with 7 kids, literally. What the F are we talking about? At least he's not like Democrats butchering babies left and right, self-mutilate. Oh, don't worry, you could change your gender at 4. Here, go get some surgery. The man has 7 kids. So when he was in the military, prior to this, he had multiple girlfriends. Okay, get the F over it.
Lost trust in how things happen?
No, listen, I came to take on New York City, to take on the New York Times, to be a mother, a strong mother, a fighter.
What's your message to the New York Times?
I would say I don't think the way you operate it feels almost criminal when reporters call you and threaten you. I don't think a lot of people know that's the way they operate. And they are in it for the commission, for the money, and they don't care who they hurt, families, children. And I don't believe that is the right way to do things.
Do you think that's just the way they try to get the story?
Oh, of course. It's their job. But I can take the
they don't try to get a story. They try to create a story, make up a story. They take a little fact here and a little fact there, and then add a bunch of lies to it, and they create a story. Get it right. I mean, God.
Opposite view. I can take the high road. I can take the belief in good and the good in people. And will we be persecuted? Will we suffer in life? Yeah, sure, we will. But I know in whom I believe. I believe in God. I believe in Pete. I believe in my family, my husband of 48 years. Hi, honey. He is in Tennessee taking care of Pete's 4 children, all the 21 chickens, the 2 horses, and beavers that seem to be at work at the pond.
Fantastic. So, all right. Penny Hegseth, thank you very much for
thank you,
stopping
Steve.
by to tell us about your son.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the Fox family. You're amazing people, and thanks for the way you've treated my son. And thanks to all our friends out there, that they've been amazing.
Thank you, Penny.
Yeah.
I'm Steve.
I think it's so ridiculous that Pete Hegseth's mom had to come on Fox News and defend false accusations from 10 years ago and an email that she wrote privately to her son about his divorce. It's just ridiculous. As Democrats destroy the country, mutilate children, human traffic. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are the biggest sex traffickers in the world because every day hundreds of thousands of kids go missing at the border that they refuse to secure, and they're being sex trafficked, brought to sweatshops, you name it. But we're talking about Pete Hegseth's relationships that he had 10 years ago. It's absolutely ridiculous.